When I was around 10 years old, I turned 17 today. I had some friends over for a birthday sleepover. It was around 3 in the morning, and we got hungry, so we went to my kitchen and began to make some sandwiches. When I looked outside of my glass sliding door, I saw something on my porch, silhouetted by the darkness. I turned on the porch light and then had the life scared out of me. There was a huge thing on my porch. It was a man-sized dog-looking thing with these glowing reddish-yellow eyes, huge fangs, and his body was pink and hairless. It dashed off into my field at the side of me, and I swore I saw it turn into a human and keep running. My friend saw it, but not the part where it had turned into a man. Okay, fast forward about 7 years. April 20th, 2014. It was 2 a.m. and I had a few friends over, and I heard something on my porch yet again. I looked out the window and I couldn't see anything. I looked at my friends, shrugged, then looked back out the window. A face had appeared out of nowhere and I fell back in shock. I looked back out the window to see the person running away, but he turned into something with a tail and 4 legs and kept running down my driveway. Nobody else saw him transform this time either. Then, just a few nights ago, I saw it again. I was downstairs making a sandwich in the middle of the night, and I realized somebody was trying to open the sliding glass door from the outside. I turned on the porch light, and there it was. Something about 6 feet tall, with the head, arms, and legs of a fox, clutching a tall medicine staff, was pawing at the outside of the door near the handle, trying to get in. Its face was painted with traditional Navajo symbols. I live near a reservation, as was its entire body. I fell over and then scrambled back upstairs, where I clutched a knife in my bed for the rest of the night. I think I'm being stalked by an ancient Anasazi witch, otherwise known as Skinwalker. I'm scared to sleep or look out my window at night, and I don't know what to do. If anybody has tips on how to get rid of them, that would be much appreciated. This may not be one of the best stories, but me and my friend want to share with you. We live in Sweden, and we both go to the same college. Our dining room that our college shares with a university is a place we go to 3 times a day to eat. One day, me and my friend saw a woman that we never seen before. She was a long and thin woman with white hair, pale skin. She behaved weird. She had an empty and lifeless face and just sat and looked alone by a table. Same table every day. She never talked to someone or showed any signs of feelings. And every time we sat down, she walked past us and looked us straight in the eyes. We both felt very scared and weird. This happened for 3 days, then she was gone. We couldn't see her on any class pictures. After that, we never saw her again. Yet. Another time was in Prague with my family. We walked among the many streets and just looked around. When we walked up a hill to get to a restaurant, something just got my attention to a couple with a baby wagon. The couple was perfectly normal. The dad had dark hair and looked typical European, sunburned, and happy with his wife. And the wife was a sunburned blonde. They looked like a happy family of 3 on a vacation. But then I looked at the child. This child could be 2 to 3 years old, had blonde, almost white hair and really pale skin, and the eyes were pitch black. The face was blank, and the child just gave me a totally cold look, and I felt that it looked like a ghost doll, but then I realized that it was real. In my experience with children, I know that they always have some sort of expression in their face, but this one hadn't. A few years ago, my dad and I were out on a hunting trip together in Minnesota, where we experienced something I'll never forget. Hudson was sleeping in the living room and all of a sudden he started barking. I mean, barking like he was about to smash through the door and attack whatever was out there. My dad and I went out into the living room to calm him down, but he was standing at the door, standing up and barking like mad. My dad repeatedly tried to calm him down, but to no avail. Hudson started pawing at the door, all the while continuing his bark. I looked out the window, expecting to see a wolf or bear wandering around, but I couldn't see anything at all. There's a motion sensor on the front of the cabin to deter the raccoons in the middle of the night, and that wasn't even tripped. Eventually, Hudson calmed down, but he was still restless for the rest of the night. I could hear Hudson walking around the cabin. It was almost as if he were standing guard over the whole place. We went out for our first day of hunting, but there wasn't anything worth firing a shot at. We went out on the porch for another cigarette. My dad pointed out that the night was unusually quiet, and I pointed out that the day was too. Something off was going on around these woods. Hudson started barking again, even more ferocious than the last night. We went back into the cabin and tried to hush him again, but he still wouldn't listen. Again, I peered out of the window. Again, I found nothing. Except for this time, the motion sensor was on. It wasn't on 2 minutes before that when we were out there. I began to make out movement just outside the light and strained my eyes to see past it. I finally got my dad to look outside, and his entire demeanor changed. He wasn't so laid back anymore. He was stiffened and agitated. "That's not a bear, son," he said to me. "Then what the hell is it?" I asked. I went over to the gun rack and grabbed my Weatherby Vanguard rifle. My dad was instantly in front of me. "You shoot at that thing and we're gonna have one hell of a problem. Just let it do its thing and wander off like it did last night." I went to the window again and looked outside. The motion sensors were off, but I could just make out movement. It was still there. Hudson quieted down and started pacing around again. I told my dad I think it left, and he looked like he was relieved. He went to the kitchen, grabbed 2 glasses and poured us both a serving of Jack Daniels, his favorite whiskey. He said he caught a glimpse of it and it looked like a wolf, but it was too big and too bulky. I don't know how long I was asleep for, but I woke up to another round of Hudson's incessant barking. He was pawing at my door and barking like mad. I glanced at the window to the right of my bed and damn near fell out of it. Whatever Hudson was barking at was peering into the window. It was no wolf. The thing was gigantic. It stared right back at me. It was furry and black, had yellow eyes that they looked like they were glowing, ears that were triangular and sitting on top of its head, long canine teeth, and a long wolf-like muzzle. It looked to me like it was hunched over or crouching down so I could look in the window. Then it licked the screen on the window. I leapt out of bed and bolted out of the room. My dad was already awake, and I started yelling at him that the thing was back outside. I grabbed my rifle again, not caring about my dad's warning, but it was gone. My dad was right behind me and told me not to shoot, that it would just piss it off. He told me he thought it was a werewolf. I saw it with my own eyes. It really did look like a werewolf, like from the underworld movies. He told me that when he saw it, it was standing on 2 legs and it must have been at least 8 feet tall. I moved out of the bedroom into the living room again and looked out the window. The sensor was tripped again, but I couldn't see the thing anywhere. Eventually, Hudson calmed down again and all was quiet. I continued to stare out of the window, watching for any signs of the creature's return. For the rest of the night, neither of us slept. We just waited. Every time Hudson got up, my body twitched, waiting for him to start barking again, but he never did. The sun rose and we walked around the cabin but found nothing. We trekked out into the woods but didn't go far into them. There were no signs of a werewolf monster had been there the night before. I thought to myself maybe Hudson could pick up the trail, and when I said it out loud to my dad, I heard how foolish it sounded. It dawned on me that I didn't actually want to find proof that this thing was out here, and I definitely didn't want to find the thing itself. My dad said we should probably just go back to the cabin and pack up. I didn't have a problem with that.